Three, two, one.
Somebody
Somebody
once
once
told
told
me the
me the
world
world
was
is
gonna
gonna
roll
roll
me.
me.
Your
I
tempo's
ain't.
way off. What's up, guys? One Wing here. I'm Will,
I'm Mike.
and
Sans Colin.
we're here to talk about episode 5 of Wandavision. We
Yes.
usually do 2 episodes at a time, but we felt like there was enough to go on here, so let's jump into it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What were you thinking about this episode here?
I really like the pace of the show now when it flashes in between, like Wanda's reality show and like Jimmy Woo and Darcy like working the case. So I really like the format now that it's broken down a bit. I did like Vision, like unlocking his coworkers like true conscience, and interesting thing is the whatever his name is at work, he only said she is controlling me, which doesn't necessarily mean Wanda. It could mean that Agatha the witch is controlling them.
Possibly. There's a few things to unpack there for sure. I gotta admit, I really didn't think that she'd be using Vision's body, but you were right. You called it. I was wrong. I thought it would be a little bit too morbid, but my theory is, um, if it's a person that doesn't exist, she can create that person. If it's a person that has already existed, in order to have um, their mind and their personality be the same as what it was, she would need either a recently deceased body, right, or to pull them from another universe, kind of thing.
It is interesting that his body was dismantled, so she did have to put him back together to the
Mm-hmm.
same state he was in. And yeah, when it like 2 episodes ago, when it like showed like him being dead for that split second, like I
Mm-hmm.
figured she was like reanimating him, but since she saw there was like a break in her reality itself, and like she saw through him to what like he actually is now, which is just like his dead
Mm-hmm.
body.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about. Like, do you think that, as long as she is in control, the body is alive, and whenever she starts to lose control, it goes back to being a dead body? Like, it's only alive when she wills it to? Or do you think she has the power to reconstruct it completely, and he will be alive after all this? Like,
Um,
if the hex goes down, like, is it like virtual reality? If you're inside the hex, everything's different, but as soon as he walks out of the hex, he'll be a dead body and he won't be alive anymore? What do you think?
um, I do think that he will only survive in Westview, and I think after the show, like after episode 9, like it's supposed to be an emotional ending as well. So I do think this will be the last we see of Vision, and this will be like the final like trigger for Wanda to like lose it and like set her up as a villain is like losing Vision, which is her everything. And so I don't think we'll be seeing him after the show. But that's just my like where I see it going. I could be completely wrong as this show continues to throw curveballs. But
Yeah.
that's just where I think that's leading to.
That's another thing. A lot of people are saying that Wanda is going to be the villain in this show and that Mephisto isn't going to be here. That was just a bait and switch by the Marvel League people to make us think that Mephisto is in control of this. I'm still Team Mephisto. I think that they're just setting it out that Wanda is the villain. And like after I watched this episode, I'm like, I have to go back and rewatch episode 1 all the way through 5 just to see if there's anything there and pick up on what people are saying about this. And like, even though Wanda in the episode like comes out of the hex and talks to all the agents and it's like, hey, like, leave, like, this is my own thing, what I think is happening is I do think Mephisto put them in there and he was orchestrating this, because like even in the beginning episode she's like, I don't know, and I don't think she's playing dumb and pretending like, oh, I don't know how we got here, right? Like, I think she legitimately doesn't know. And as she starts throughout the episodes, as she starts to figure it out, she's like, well, I don't care. Like, this is my dream life anyway. Like, everything was taken from me, and I am reclaiming that. This is the life I wanted. If Vision would have been alive, this was all taken from me. She has that psychotic break, and she's like, you know what? This is what we're doing. I've created this world. I don't know how I did it, but I'm gonna keep it going, kind of thing. That's what I think is happening. I think she's not the villain that started it, but I think she is the main force keeping it going, because she's being like selfish. This is what she wants, right? Mm-hmm. She doesn't want to let go.
Well, no, I still think there is like she made some deal with the devil type thing, because she was blatantly like using like her powers in front of Agnes without caring about it, and like it was wearing visions and she was doing it, so it's kind of obvious that her and Agnes are fully like, you know, both aware and like know more than everybody else, especially like with her using her powers and not even caring anymore of like hiding it. She's just openly doing it in front of Agnes.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's because so many things had happened that people didn't care about, like even giving birth in front of Monica Rambeau. She starts like slowly throughout those episodes, when you rewatch them, she slowly slips things up in front of people. Like even the first episode where she's like, Vision, help him, and Vision puts his hand in the guy's throat and pulls it out, and like they go back to like not even noticing it, right? Like in every episode things happen and people look past it. So she just gets to that point where she's like, I've been doing stupid crazy things this whole time and no one seems to care, right? So by episode 5 she's like, no, like she watched the kids grow instantly and didn't care, right? So she's like, she's pretty aware of what's going on by episode 5, whether she knew about it or not. I still think she had no idea in episode 1. I do think she made a deal with Mephisto. That's the direction that I'm going in, and this was created, but he couldn't have done this without her, because she is in control of this thing. He just kind of set it up for her. Agnes, do you think Agnes is working for Mephisto? And if so, is he Randall or Ralph, or whatever her husband's name is?
Yeah, I do believe that Mephisto is Ralph.
Okay.
Because all the mentions, it just makes sense since we haven't seen him yet. He does get mentioned every episode. Like, obviously Ralph is more than just a silly little joke of like, oh, Ralph always does this.
Yeah, like, if there's one thing that we know about Marvel is they don't do anything, like, for no reason, right? Like, everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
I do agree with you there. I would like to think that Agnes isn't working for him. I like to think that she is the helper, like she was in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know, right? A lot of people thought that the girl that was in charge was Mephisto, because like, oh, like she's the one that is anybody's anything, and like, oh, like you didn't check out the chairs, remind me not to let you chair anything later. Like she's like the queen bee, right? Like the person in charge. So a lot of people thought she was Mephisto, but I don't think she's Mephisto. First off, I really do think it is Ralph, and she's not Ralph. Clearly, she has a name, and there's a lot of things like she's able to be manipulated by Wanda, like she has that break when the radio happens, right, in like episode 2, and she's like, I don't trust you, and I think you are here to hurt people, right? And it's because she's being hurt by Wanda. She's being mind controlled, right? And she's able to be snapped back right into that fake reality. Go ha 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 ha, like after the glass breaks and stuff. So I'm like, I don't think Mephisto would say like, hey, I don't trust you and you're insidious. So I don't think she is Mephisto.
Going back to the Wanda thing. Like once I saw her like leave the dome and talk to like Sword and stuff.
And had her
Like
Sokovian accent again.
yeah, because like that's the real Wanda, and like
Yeah.
because yeah, she knew the whole time like she can leave freely and like is in control of everything. But with you, like with your theory of she didn't know like at the beginning, like she was forgetful. Like at some point she would have had to like figure it out and like leave the dome. But like it could could be something off screen that we didn't see. But I don't know. Seeing her just like I thought it was pretty clear. Like she is just in control of this whole thing and like has known what was going on from the beginning because like how easy it was and like her just going back to her like true self with the accent and original costume and everything. And for me that was the most mind-blowing thing of the episode when that scene happened.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Um, I think the hex is the filter, and when you're inside the hex, um, the programming is everybody is suburban New Jersey, like 1950s accents. Hi, how's it going? We're American, right? And then like as soon as she leaves that, all the filter's gone, the programming's gone. She reverts back
Yeah.
to whatever she back to her old clothes and everything, right? I think she figured that out either just before she sent Monica Rambeau out or when she sent Monica Rambeau out. So when she like blasted Monica Rambeau and took her, boom, and then like she goes through the thing, she could have realized it then, like, oh, like there's the barrier, or maybe she realized it sooner and is aware that everything is happening, and she's in control. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still sticking to the theory that she didn't know at first, but like I was wrong about Vision's dead body. So
Well, yeah, we'll just have to see those things unfold. Now we're finally going to get to the big ending of the episode of Quicksilver.
yeah. First off, you heard it here first, folks. We said that Pietro was going to be the Foxcast.
Obviously, I was super excited to see him. I was assuming it was Evan Peters, and like from Fox, but I kind of thought it might be the MCU version of him since there's many no questions after this of what brought him here and like it just opens up so much. A little thing that I saw online was when he's at the door. There's a mirror like that shows like the back of Wanda and like Pietro's face, and there's like this white or like ghost like hand that looks like it's around Quicksilver's neck. So like something like kind of showing that there is a force forcing him to be here.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the entire time I'm watching the episode, they're hinting that Pietro's going to show up. And so like the whole time I'm just like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? And like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want it. I'm 99% sure it's Fox Pietro. And I just want it to be so bad that I'm just like willing it to happen. I'm like, please, please, please. And they're talking about like, oh yeah, your mom used to have a twin brother. And oh, like the dog's dead. Can you bring someone back to life and stuff like that? And it's just like, you're like, oh, they're so hinting about bringing him back, and I'm like, I just really hope it's the Fox one that we were predicting. And as soon as that door rings and the door opens, and even you see the back of his head, and you're still not sure, you're like, I think it might be. And then you see his face, and you're like, yes! And you're just like, even though you knew it was going to happen, you're still just as excited as everybody else that was out there that had no idea, right?
Yeah.
Like my brother said when he saw it, when it was the Fox guy, he like dropped his plate. He's like, "What's going on?" Like he was like brilliant, right?
Yeah, when I saw the back of his head with like the hair and the leather jacket, I'm like, yes, it is him.
Yeah. And like, so before we unpack what that means, what I'm pulling from this is, like we said earlier in this video, she can't bring someone back to life that has already existed. She can only will new people into existence, right? Like the kids. So therefore, Vision, she needed his body, and since she didn't have Pietro's body because he's been dead for many years, she had to pull him from another universe, right? And because her powers are fairly chaotic right now, and she is concentrating on manipulating all the people in the town and controlling them all, it's like she pulled him from the wrong universe and pulled in Fox Pietro by mistake, and she has literally ripped a hole in the fabric of the multiverse. And what do we know about the multiverse so far? Well, we know that the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out is called uh, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So something happens that opens up the multiverse, and Doctor Strange has to fix it. And we know that WandaVision takes place directly after the blip where the people come back, just like in Spider-Man Far From Home, takes place at the exact same time. And Spider-Man, when they're looking for people and they bring Mysterio out, and he's like, well, like, why not Doctor Strange? Like, oh, Doctor Strange is busy right now. Because it's the same time,
Yeah.
and he's dealing with something that is ripping a fabric open in the multiverse. And as we see in WandaVision that takes place at the exact same time, there has been a rip in the multiverse, and Pietro's here now. And I do think, because the people that predicted Fox Pietro, like, months ago, that was just like a blip of a rumor that no one believed, also predicted that Doctor Strange is going to be in WandaVision.
Well, it makes sense. Like, I am expecting him to show up at least in the final episode, if not sooner.
Yeah, and this past week, it was announced that WandaVision is going to be one extra episode longer than it was supposed to be.
Oh,
They have
I
a
didn't. So it's
whole-
10 episodes now?
Yeah, it's 10 episodes now.
Wow. I see. Well, that bridges the gap too. So the week after WandaVision is when Falcon and the Winter Soldier starts up then.
Yeah, unless they drop 2 episodes at the very end.
That'd be cool. Since apparently the last 2 are supposed to be crazy. Also, when you speaking of Spider-Man, when you see Nick Fury at the end in space, he's watching it. It's like the shape of a hexagon. So it's like he has been watching this whole thing take place.
Oh, I never noticed that.
So that's pretty cool,
Up at
and it
Sword
does confirm
headquarters.
like he is. Yeah, he's.
Do you know if it's like an
At
old
Sword.
TV that he's watching? Or is he just watching the occurrence, like top view? He's not watching the show, he's watching the anomaly.
Yeah, so all you see is like the symbol like on the screen, and obviously like more things, but like it's a far away thing. You just see like him looking at
Yeah.
it, like he gets up, then he says, "Back to work, people." So getting back to Quicksilver and what this means. So obviously, yeah, she ripped a hole and brought him. So since she does look like quizzically like at him at first, is this because it's not what she was expecting because she did pull a different version of him?
That's what I think. Like,
Because like it takes a moment where they're both just like staring at each other, and that's when he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to give you long lost brother a hug."
yeah, well, it's like, because she's willing things into existence and she's getting sloppy, right? Every time she loses control, something happens, or something happens because she loses control. Like, this is like, it's way too unstable. The thing that she's created is way too unstable for her, and things are bound to mess up. You and I talked earlier this week where when I rewatched the episodes, I was like, in episode 1, when Vision is doing all the accounting, he's like, oh, what do we do here? Like, oh, we're managing our input and output. We're assessing our input and output. And he's like, oh, like, of what? And they're like, oh, we're assessing our input and output. And, like, they won't tell him the numbers that he's calculating. And we're like, is this, like, the output signal for the broadcast? Like, is this like her input and output of energy? Like, making sure she's not straining too much? Like, is this like measuring her levels, or is this legitimately just a stupid random task that she's trying to distract Vision with? And just, oh yeah, go do accounting things. Okay, well, what do I do in accounting? I don't know. Crunch numbers. Like, I was like, is it just a pure distraction for him, or is this legitimately like he is making sure that things are running smoothly and the barrier is up, and one of us mentioned, um, at the end credit scene when you see all the ones and zeros symbolizing the barrier, that's like he is crunching ones and zeros in episode one. Point being, back to the her being surprised, I fully believe it's because she was pulling, like once again, Mephisto, as he implanted the children in her head. Oh, we're doing this for the children. We're doing this for the children. He got the children. He's like, all right, let's see how far we can go with this. Let's implant brother. There's twins. There's a brother. Like, bringing things back from the dead. Oh, mommy had a brother. Oh, the kids are like, it's all like brother, and like he just keeps like throwing things at her until she's like, oh, I want my brother here too, right? Like, throws
Yeah.
kids at. Oh, I guess I would love to have kids, right? Like, I do think Mephisto is behind it, and I do think she wills her brother, but because so much is going on and she doesn't really know how to control her powers, she wills in the wrong brother.
Also, Elizabeth Olsen said in a recent interview that there is like a Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian type shock of a cameo in WandaVision. And so like this could very well be it because like this is major. But do you think we'll see something more like Magneto showing up? Because it was mentioned, her parents were mentioned when they're talking about her at the sword base of like her parents Oleg and whatever the mom's name was. But obviously, like in the Fox universe, Magneto's clearly their dad.
Yeah. Um, yes and no. What I'm going to say is I read an article from Vanity Fair because honestly, I never thought that would be my best news source for Marvel stuff, but after all the articles that I read, Vanity Fair was the only one that was on the same page as us, and they said that um, a reveal like this hasn't been this shocking since Luke Skywalker and Mandalorian. So I think that's what that's referring to. But if not, I'm going to throw this at you. Patrick Stewart, who is known for playing Professor X in the X-Men movies, said he recently turned down a
Yes.
guest appearance on an MCU like franchise thing, not movie, not show. He didn't specify, just media in general.
Yeah, I heard
And
that too because he said it was because if Logan didn't happen, if he would be open to it, but since Logan did happen and it was a good ending, that he didn't want to come back to do it.
yeah,
But this doesn't stop. What's his name? James McAvoy, the younger guy.
yeah,
Because if she's just pulling from any time, like this is the '80s that she pulled Evan Peters out, and like his Quicksilver is around in the '80s, so if we get like a '90s, Magneto or Professor X, then it would be the younger actors, so we wouldn't see Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. There's no rumors at all about Magneto showing up. So unless this is really under lock and key, but like I feel like the biggest lock and key would have been Pietro. Like why leak that but not Magneto? I feel like no one would care about a Magneto leak. But anyways, um, I don't personally think Magneto's gonna show up. But at the same time, even though Patrick Stewart said he turned down a role appearance, we've seen Marvel actors say deny things many times, and then it does happen, right? It's
Well,
like,
just this week that Tom denied Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire showing up in Spider-Man 3. But obviously, if you're asked the question and it's as big as that, you have to deny it. Like there's no beating around it or anything.
yeah.
It's like you just have to deny it to keep the mystery alive.
But that's my point, right? Like, so even though he said he's not going to be in the MCU, I'm still expecting to see Patrick Stewart in the MCU. So it's like,
Well, this is such a cool thing from here since you really don't know and it's open to anyone coming back, which I think is really cool, and it's what we've been waiting for, forever to see in these movies of like all the characters finally in one place.
Abs.
And if this is way to finally bring it together, then
Yeah.
the MCU is just getting good for everyone who's like, oh, since Cap and Iron Man aren't around anymore, like it's gonna suck. Like we're only at the beginning.
Yeah.
If how it feels. Yeah.
Yeah, like, in Faihi we trust, guys. Come on, like, that's the thing that I love about the MCU is like they don't even have to lie to us anymore. They can just be like, they could literally tell me exactly what's going to happen in Multiverse of Madness, and I still will be like, well, is this what's going to happen? Like, and I will still go in and I will watch it all unfold the way they said it was, and I will still be shocked, and I will still be surprised, and I will still love it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Well, the same as you said about the Fox Quicksilver. It's like even though you were expecting it to finally, like to actually see it, is just, it's crazy to see that reveal. Even though you're expecting, you're like, all right, he's at the door. No way, he's at the door.
they went and did it. They actually did it. They talked about doing it, but we all talk about doing it. No one does it, but they did it.
Right. Well, we'll probably make it a new episode next week with how this show is going.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to tune in next time to watch us ramble about it some more and gush over our man crush of Kevin Feige.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, Wingers. See you later.